guys, we've got to talk about Aloshenka the alien. And this is a wild story, and it has huge implications for alien presence here on Earth today. This is wild, guys. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, yeah, this is kind of a sad story. I'll be honest. The humans involved in this story, well, it didn't work out real well, and it's very sad and tragic. But the implications of this are so important. So let's go over it. Aloshenka the alien. Tamara Prosverina, an elderly resident of that word right there, in Russia, came home from her daily walk proclaiming she had found herself a baby in the wilderness under a tree next to an old cemetery. Investigators would later find out this was no ordinary baby. Tamara would tell others of her new baby she named Aloshenka, and that's a picture of Tamara right there. Yeah, and of course that is Aloshenka. And you'll notice how similar it looks to the Atacama mummy, right, that Gary Nolan studied. Shockingly similar, and about the same size too. So Tamara would tell others of her new baby she named Aloshenka, but would strangely refuse to show anyone who asked to see. Her neighbors would eventually just write this off as senile delusion until she let her daughter-in-law help take care of it. Her daughter-in-law would affirm to skeptics that Tamara was real and not human. She described the creature as 10 inches long, dark gray skin, bald and hairless with brown spots, protruding eyes with vertical pupils, thin lips, holes for ears and nose, no navel or genitalia. Like a true baby, Tamara spoon-fed the alien being milk and curds, and even mentioned the creature enjoyed licking caramel candies. The daughter-in-law would also recall the little humanoid would have to be wiped down due to a sweet-scented sweat it would consistently produce. After a while, the people around Tamara would become so concerned for her mental health, they called the authorities, who would end up taking her to a mental institution. She tried fighting this tirelessly in fear the baby would die with her gone. While Tamara was in the institution, her daughter-in-law and a friend checked on Aloshenka and was terribly saddened to find the remains of a mummified body. Her friend then turned the body over to a detective to examine. One expert wrote it off as a deformed child. Another said a malformed fetus removed prematurely from the womb. A third stated it was not human and showed decidedly anomalous bone structure. And DNA analysis of the sweet sweat cloth allegedly came back as non-human. Unsure of how to move forward, it is said that they may have turned to the ufologists to help solve this. Some say the Aloshenka baby skeleton was then passed along and was never seen again. Another claims the scientist studying the specimen body was stopped in the middle of the road by bright flashing lights. He goes on to say the lights were a UFO with occupants inside, demanding the alien body back and wouldn't let him go otherwise. And here he is talking about that. Since then, there have been rumors and stories and others who came across very similar creatures in the woods in that area. Wikipedia has an article about it as well. They call it a small human fetus. But then they go on to talk about the testing that was done on Aloshenka, the whatever it was, right? Bindon decided initially, and this was one of the researchers, that it was the mummified remains of a child, and took it to Dr. Irina for analysis. She stated that it was not a hoax and that it was a genuine mummified body that was once living tissue. Her conclusions were that it was a premature child that was deformed, something which could be attributed to the far-reaching fallout of the 1957 Kishtim disaster. On April 15, 2004, scientists made an official statement that the Kishtim creature was a premature female human infant with severe deformities. However, other experts and eyewitnesses said it could not have been human, as there were too many differences in the skeleton that varied from a human being, especially in regard to the skull. And they up to 20 differences, which is about the same number of mutations that Gary Nolan referenced with in regards to the Atacama mummy. Bindlin's clinical assistant, I'm not going to say the name, who herself had seen many deformities in children, stated that they had never seen anything like this, and that she believed it was not of human origin. She said the differences were just too many, not least of which was the number of bones on the head, 4 in total, that had sharp edges which were completely different to a human being. A March 28 study on the similar Atacama skeleton found an extremely high number of mutations for bone and muscle formation, suggesting that such major mutations, although extremely rare, are possible. And again, here is Aloshenka, the being, whatever it was, human or alien or whatever it was. And you can tell the shocking similarities to the Atacama mummy. I mean, look at that. Even has the sharp, angles on the skull. It's just so similar. They're not exact. There are differences. And I'm reminded of the differences in the Nazca mummies. It seems like there's different varieties of similar beings or related beings, some of them with different sizes but with similar features. These two are extremely similar, even in terms of size and head shape, but with some notable differences. And here's a website that has a lot of other really intriguing details. Those who saw Aloshenka described it as a 20 to 25 centimeter tall humanoid. Brown body, no hair, big protruding eyes, moving its tiny lips, making squeaky sounds. It was alive, according to Tamara's friend who had seen Aloshenka in her apartment and who later told Pravda his onion-shaped head didn't look human at all. His mouth was red and round. He was looking at us, said another witness. Tamara's daughter-in-law. According to her, the woman was feeding the strange baby with cottage cheese and condensed milk. He looked sad. I felt pain while looking at him, the daughter-in-law recalled. Accounts by the locals differ. For instance, one local mentioned that the dwarf was hairy and had blue eyes. Nina, Tamara's other friend, stated he was standing near the bed with big eyes, and also mentioned hair. Others say the humanoid was hairless. Weird discrepancies in this story. The only thing these people agree on was that Aloshenka looked like a real alien. On the other hand, testimonies of people like Nagovsky and, I'm not going to say that name, are dubious. Both were drunkards, as well as most of Tamara's friends, and later died of alcoholism. Aloshenka dies. One day, the inevitable happened. Because Tamara had been taken to a sanitarium, people thought she was crazy, talking about taking care of this baby. Nobody knew if this was a real baby. I think she probably genuinely had, mental problems, and she was taken to an institution. But she was saying, well, if you take me to this institution, the baby's going to die. And tragically, she was right. One day, the inevitable happened. Tamara's neighbors called the hospital, and doctors took her away. She protested and wanted to stay with Aloshenka because without her he would die. But how could I believe the words of a woman with acute schizophrenia? The local paramedic shrugged. Indeed, the Kishtim dwarf died with no one to feed him. And it says him, but I think it might have actually been a her. When asked why she didn't visit Aloshenka or call anyone, Tamara's friend answers, well, damn it, aren't you freaking geniuses? I wasn't in the village back then. When she came back, the small creature had already died. The most likely insane Tamara was the only one to cry for him. When, with Tamara gone, a friend found the body and made some type of mummy, washed it with spirit, and dried it. Is spirit maybe alcohol? Later, the man was arrested for stealing cable and showed the body to police. So it was a mummy, and this gentleman made it into a mummy, I guess, if this account is correct. I mean, who knows, guys? Who knows? It goes on talking about the investigation and the outcome. And how they involved the ufologist in trying to, make sense of this being, and what the various researchers said, and where Aloshenka is now. Aloshenka's body still hasn't been found, and it's unlikely to be. His mother, the pensioner Tamara, died in 1999, hit by a truck in the dead of night. According to locals, she had been dancing on a highway. Apparently, she had escaped the institution. That's the best information that I have. And she was she escaped and went on a highway and was dancing, and was tragically killed on the highway. Most of those who had met him, Aloshenka, also have died. Still, scientists, journalists, and even psychics argue about who or what he was, offering very bizarre versions, from an alien to an ancient dwarf. So yeah, that's about it as far as the available information that I have. But okay, so let's just go over a couple things real quick, the conclusions and the implications of all of this. Now, it has about the same number of differences as the number of mutations of the Atacama being that Gary Nolan talked about. At first, Gary Nolan, the information from Gary Nolan was that it had been debunked, and he had debunked it himself as a deformed child. And I had, taken his word seriously and believed that that was, the final word on the matter. Until Dr. Stephen Greer and one of his producers came out with new information, saying that privately Gary Nolan was saying that the Atacama mummy was actually an alien. He was saying this behind the scenes, but officially he would not go on record as saying that. And I think that's really unfortunate that he took this official position that apparently is not what he believed. I would rather Gary Nolan just have said nothing than to come out with information officially that he didn't believe in. I mean, that's disinformation, whether intentional or not. I know maybe there was an expectation on him to come out with an official, account or a decision on it after he had publicly agreed to study it. But still, guys, maybe he's not willing to go there, but still, I mean, that's disinformation, putting out BS, that people are going to take seriously because it's Gary Nolan saying it. But okay, so the implications are, if Dr. Stephen Greer and his producer are correct, and Gary actually believes this is real. So let's just say the Atacama being was real and that it was a once living being, just for a thought argument's sake, right? Well, the interesting thing about the Atacama mummy, it's not like the Nazca beings, which existed hundreds or thousands of years ago in life. The Atacama being was recent. It was just a few decades old. It had been alive a few decades ago. So Aloshenka was also alive very recently. Apparently she found it alive. Now, there is some debate about whether the Atacama mummy was actually an infant or whether it was full grown. And here we have another one of the same size. Was it an infant? Was it full grown? Don't know. Not enough information. But two living beings in recent times, the same general size and appearance, which if there's two of them and they're in widely disparate parts of the world, there's probably others, guys. There's probably others. It's a tragic incident. This being dying, Tamara, put in an institution and escaping and dying, everybody dying and being, it's a tragic story overall. It really is. But the implications of this event and of the Atacama mummy, you put the two together and you see this picture of these little guys, these tiny little guys that are alive, probably on the planet today, if these were indeed once living beings and not mutated humans. They're saying maybe it was mutated because of this atomic incident or the nuclear incident back in the 50s, Aloshenka. But that would not be the case for the Atacama being, right? Found in South America. So, yeah, guys, so let me know what you think about this. Were they once living beings? Does this imply the existence of little guys that are probably still alive on Earth today? Do they have ships? There's that one witness that said they had a ship. They came down and they took the body, according to him. Of course, who is that reliable? Who knows? There's differing accounts of ufologists vanishing it or a collector taking the body of Aloshenka. So, who knows what the real truth is of the ultimate dispensation of the body. But, I think this is really suggestive, guys, that there could be these little guys that might still be here. Might still be here, guys. Or maybe they're in this ship flying around. Maybe the guy was right. It's I don't want to say comical, but I mean, thinking of a bunch of little guys flying around in a tiny little UFO. I mean, maybe they got a big UFO, guys. Maybe they got a big UFO. Maybe I shouldn't be making light of it because of all the tragedy involved in this case. But the mind wonders. At least my mind wonders. Let me know where your mind goes on this crazy case in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.